for the Huskies.
The Big East Conference maintains a comprehensive site on the World Wide Web at www.bigeast.org. Log on for all the latest information on all Big East sports, including women's basketball scores, highlights, news, stats, standings, and polls. And if you log on today, you would see that UConn has a one-game lead over Notre Dame and DePaul in those Big East standings. And it's impossible, Katie, to overstate the importance of this game. If Notre Dame loses, they're 2 games back of UConn with only 3 games left. But if the Irish win, we have a tie for first between UConn and Notre Dame. DePaul with a chance to pull even with a win tomorrow. You're doing that game on ESPNU tomorrow. And DePaul and Notre Dame will end the regular season against each other in Chicago a week from Monday.
With just a few games left in the regular season, it shows why it's so tough to be in the Big East.
Mallory shot no good. Rebound, Achanwa blocked by Dolson, but a foul will be called. And it will be on Dolson. That's her first, and number 6 on the Huskies.
Well, and we talked about it earlier, how important it is when you're defending to keep your arms down right here. Let's see if she brings her arms down. She does. And she's arguing because, yes, she doesn't feel like she made contact, but when officials see you break vertical and bring your arms down even just a little bit, they'll automatically call that.
Achanwa misses the first free throw. Dolson has won the last 2 Freshman of the Week awards. Achanwa was the Freshman of the Week on December 13th. She's from Guelph, Ontario. You know it's a big game when Gino's got the jacket off just midway through the first half. Achanwa is the first international player in Notre Dame women's basketball history. Hartley pull-up 3.
Well, and that's what you need right there. You need Bria Hartley to step up offensively. Maya Moore is not going to be able to do it with Brittany Mallory all over her like she's been.
Achanwa up high. We are at Gamble Pavilion in Storrs, Connecticut. I'm Bob Picozzi along with former Big West Player of the Year Katie Christensen. It's Notre Dame first in the Big East, or UConn first in the Big East. Notre Dame in a 2-way tie for second. The Irish led 7-0, but UConn has roared back to take a 5-point lead. Maya Moore, the leading scorer in the country, has yet to score in the first 11 minutes. Moore with the miss. Rebound pulled down by number 15, Turner. Quickly right into the teeth of the defense. Gave to Achanwa. She missed the shot.
Well, and you have to give Notre Dame's defense credit here today, especially Brittany Mallory. She has not given any open looks to Maya Moore.
Moore kept that possession alive by deflecting the missed shot by Farris to a teammate. Moore averaging 24 points per game, number 1 in the country. Dolson and Achanwa really going at it in the low block. Hartley pull up. No good. Great box out by Achanwa. And Muffet McGraw wants to know how in the world was that not a foul on Maya Moore on that rebound attempt.
Well, and you have to give credit to Achanwa, the freshman, because at that last timeout, Muffet McGraw was in her ear about being more physical. She came out and did not allow Dolson to get a deep seal, made it difficult for them on the offensive end.
And Achanwa just came out, and Muffet McGraw went over and applauded right in her face. So, message learned. Krzyzewski sets the screen for Turner. Rebound to Farris for UConn as Hayes goes flying. Dixon back in for UConn. She picked up 2 early fouls. Up top, Hayes. Her pass stolen by Turner. To Mallory. 8th turnover for the Huskies.
When you're playing a team like Notre Dame who leads the Big East in steals, you can't be so casual with an entry pass.
Novosel missed the layup. Shot might have been altered by Dolson. Here's Dixon. Dixon and Moore, the only 2 seniors on this UConn team. Moore right now getting a rest. Low block Dolson. Krzyzewski with 2 fouls was really defenseless there.
Well, and you can see as soon as Dolson posted up against her, she kind of leaned backwards. She didn't want to create any contact. That's a tough situation to be in, and they did the right thing offensively to take it into the low block.
Mallory to Diggins. Shoots over Dixon. 13 points for Skylar Diggins. UConn by 5, 7 minutes remaining first half. Hayes around the Dolson screen. Back to Dolson. Back to Dixon. Defenders will play off her. They'll let her take the open jumper. And there it is. She burned it.
Oh, she has such a quick first step. Don't let her get in the paint. That's an easy little pull-up in rhythm for her. She's not necessarily a spot-up shooter, but she can shoot the pull-up in rhythm.
She scored a season-high 8 points last time out against Oklahoma. UConn has certainly taken advantage of the Notre Dame turnovers. A circus shot by Brzezinski. This game has been very physical, and the officials have really let them play. Farris had 20 points in the first meeting, is yet to score today. Dolson tried to save it and threw it right to Mallory. 9th Huskies turnover. Dolson is back. It's a 5-on-4, and the pass is deflected out of bounds by Farris. So good play by Farris prevented the easy shot. With the leading scorer in the country scoreless so far in the game, UConn has put the ball in the hands of their freshmen, Dolson and Hartley. It's a 5-point UConn lead over Notre Dame. AE Trivia is brought to you by American Eagle Outfitters. Live your life in AE jeans. The question: UConn and Notre Dame have met 21 times in Big East regular season play. How many times has there been a sellout? And the answer is B, 13 times. The most recent sellout this season, last month, January 8th in South Bend. The story of the game so far, Katie, Maya Moore is not playing like the best player in the country.
Well, and you have to give credit to the defense by Notre Dame. Brittany Mallory has had her from the start, has not made it easy. She's been all over her, and that's what you do against a player like Maya Moore. You make sure that whether you're at the offensive end or the defensive end of the floor, you do not have any space to operate. They've stolen it off of rebounds. They've gotten her when she tries to face up. An exceptional job defensively by a great defensive team.
When we chatted this week with Muffet McGraw, we asked her to place Maya Moore in the history of women's basketball, and Muffet's answer was, I think she's unquestionably the best ever. I don't think there's ever been a player like her. You're surprised when she misses a shot. She has the most talent. She also works the hardest, and because she's such a nice person, you feel like rooting for someone like her. Muffet's not rooting for her today. Let's get that out of the way.
You know, I've talked, because I have the game tomorrow, Georgetown and DePaul. I've talked to the coaches, and regardless of who you're talking to, the conversation always seems to go to Maya Moore and the respect that she has from coaches in the league, and everyone just loves her as a person, as a player. She is one of those rare players to come along.
Farris to Dixon. Here's Moore up high. Hands to Dixon. A foul will be called on Mallory, and that's her second. 2 each on Peters, Mallory, and Brzezinski, and 6 on the Irish.
Now Notre Dame needs to be careful and not let their aggressiveness get the better of them and put them in a situation where they cannot be as aggressive defensively as they've been.
Moore drives to the hoop, and there are her first points of the game. It took 14.5 minutes to get them.
Well, and you have to point out, even though she's only just scored just now, she's got 4 assists already. She'll find a way to help her team in whatever way she can.
Well, she leads UConn in assists. Diggins with the drive, and she will get a trip to the line.
You talk about good fouls and bad fouls. That right there, in my opinion, is a good foul. Skylar Diggins has been going to the basket at will today. She's had pull-up jumpers. She's hit from downtown. You need to make her guess the next time she's coming into the lane. Do I want to penetrate or do I want to go for a pull-up? After a foul like that, she might think about it.
Foul was on Hayes, her first and 7 on the team. Diggins, one of the most storied recruits in Notre Dame history. Grew up in the shadows of the Irish campus, went to Washington High School in South Bend, played for her dad in high school. Dolson back in. 2 years ago, as a senior, Diggins not only won all of the National High School Player of the Year awards, she was named the Gatorade National Athlete of the Year.
Well, and other players that have been named the National Athlete of the Year, LeBron James, Candace Parker, Maya Moore, Tina Charles. I mean, she's in a great category of athletes right there.
Hartley's pass in and out of the hands of Dolson. Turnover number 10 for the Huskies. Down low, Achanwa wants to go with Dolson. The up and under move. And the rebound pulled down by Hayes. Moore to Hartley on the right. UConn by 6, 4.5 minutes remaining first half. Moore trying to post up Miller down low without the ball. Hartley on the drill.
Well, and the reason that Hartley was able to get that layup is because Miller was glued to Maya Moore. That would have been her outside defense. But sometimes in a situation like this, you say, I'm going to let somebody else score. Don't let Maya Moore score. There was no help side.
Hartley with 12 points, and Diggins is going to call time with 15 seconds left on the shot clock. 4:03 left in the game. We are approaching a media timeout. Irish have already used 3 first half timeouts. Today's game is just a preview of the competitive high-level basketball that will be played March 4th through the 8th at the XL Center in Hartford when the Big East Women's Basketball Championship comes to town. All 16 teams. There'll be afternoon and evening doubleheaders on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The semifinals Monday night, the finals Tuesday night, and there's how you get your tickets. Ticketmaster.com or www.bigeast.org/WBB. And of course, the big incentive standings-wise, Katie, in the Big East is to finish in the top 4, because the top 4 seeds get buys in the first 2 rounds, and you're already in the quarterfinals, and you would only have to play 3 games in 3 days to win it all.
Well, and that's why the closing out the season is so important for several of the teams in the Big East right now.
Out of the timeout, 5 seconds left on the shot clock for the Irish. Novosel had it pocket picked by Farris. Farris one-on-one with Achonwa. Rebound knocked out of bounds, last touch by the Irish. And that will bring us to a media timeout. Kelly Farris was the runner-up to Skylar Diggins 2 years ago in the voting for Indiana Miss Basketball. Her Huskies lead by 8. Eastern time. And we mentioned earlier, Katie, that Bria Hartley was the Big East preseason player of the year. She has struggled of late. She's had a little physical issue with her foot and ankle. She's not struggling today, though.
Well, her ankle's back to full strength. She feels good, and you can see today the capability she has on the offensive end of the floor. Maya Moore is all-time leading scorer in the Big East and leads her team here, but Bria Hartley is going to step into this role next year. She can do it from all over the floor, and one of the things I love about Bria Hartley the most is she's so competitive, and she doesn't let anything get to her. She'll keep shooting, and she competes at both ends of the floor.
And when these two teams met on January 8th in South Bend, with UConn down by 1 out of a timeout, it was Hartley with a great read of the defense. It was actually a broken play, but she saw that Kelly Farris was open underneath. Hartley got her the ball. Farris laid it in. That turned about to be the difference in the game.
Well, and she has great instincts on the basketball floor. She reads defenses so well. She's able to adjust and do what the defense gives her on a split-second notice.
Moore called for the travel. That's 11 first-half turnovers for UConn. Diggins to Novosel. Around the Bruszewski screen. Achonwa. Up top, Diggins. Shot clock inside 10. Diggins on the switch, picked up by Moore. Tries to shoot over. And on the rebound, it's pulled down by Frederica Miller of Notre Dame. Tried to get it to a teammate, but Dolson took it away. And then Moore slipped and fell. Hayes to Farris. Oh, what a screen that Dolson set. Then Dolson cut for the hoop, but Bruszewski knocked away the pass.
Well, in a situation like that, Farris wants to go ahead and give it a nice lob pass. Don't put it on the floor. That's where the defense can take it.
Farris with the kick. Shot clock will stay right where it is, 25. And Notre Dame will inbound on the baseline. The Irish have won 9 in a row since Muffet McGraw's team lost to UConn on January 8th in South Bend. UConn has won 13 in a row since suffering its only loss to Stanford on December 30th. Diggins to Novosel for 3.
Great job reading the defense right there and knocking down an open shot. It doesn't need to be complicated. If you move the ball around enough, you'll get an open shot.
Notre Dame is 302nd in the country in three-point field goals. Moore knocks down the three. UConn is first in the Big East in three-point shooting percentage at 36%. And that was Moore's 44th of the year. Diggins for three. Great box-out rebound by Moore, who fell down again. Hartley, right into the teeth of the defense, tried to draw the foul and did. It will be on Diggins, her first, number 7 on the Irish, and Hartley will shoot 2.
Bria Hartley is really putting together a nice first half of this game. She's already leading her team with 12 points. But on that basket, to attack 4 different Notre Dame players, cup it, protect the ball, and get yourself to the free throw line. Way to step up.
Substitution for the Irish, Bruszewski leaves. She's 6'1". She's replaced by the 5'8" Turner. So the Irish get smaller in a hurry.
Well, and you have to come back to the fact that Peters got 2 quick fouls and has been on the bench, only played 5 minutes in the first half.
And Bruszewski has played major minutes with 2 fouls. Right now, Bruszewski getting the rest. Novosel at the foul line. Farris has done a terrific job defending her. Hayes with the reach-in foul, her second, and 8 on UConn. Gino Auriemma's club has beaten Notre Dame the last 10 times they've played. Of course, Katie, hardly anyone ever beats UConn in this building.
I was just going to say, I mean, how many teams actually have had a winning streak snapped by UConn? And in this building alone, it's a 75-game win streak.
75-game home winning streak. That, of course, includes their home games in Hartford. But in this building, UConn has won 112 of its last 114. But one of those 2 losses was to Notre Dame back in 2005. Hartley with the pull-up. And the rebound inside comes to Achanwa, surrounded by 3 UConn players.
Really good job there by Novosel defensively of changing that shot. May not have been a block as you see Skylar Diggins taking it full length of the court in transition.
Diggins now with 16 first half points. Final minute of the half. Hayes. To Moore. Shot clock inside 10. Moore with the side jump. Moore's got 7. The lead up to 10. Biggest lead of the afternoon for either team. Miller guarded by Moore. Novosel. 10 seconds left in the shot clock. Novosel drives around Dolson and will draw the foul. That will be number 2 on Dolson and number 9 on UConn. So to the free throw line will go Novosel, who is the 5th most accurate free throw shooter in the Big East at 79%. She's playing with a hyperextended knee. She did not practice all week except for yesterday. Notre Dame's been off since last Saturday when they won by 22 at Rutgers. Novosel with the miss, and the rebound is knocked out of bounds off UConn. So the shot clock now off. Notre Dame with 1 last possession, down by 9. Miller looking to Achanwa. Remember, Dolson's got 2 fouls. Outside Novosel with 8. Diggins wants to take Hayes off the dribble with 5. Diggins with 2. It's blocked, but a foul is called with 0.8 seconds left. And that's going to be the 3rd foul on Tiffany Hayes. Three UConn players surrounded her. Moore blocked the shot. Hayes called for the foul. Diggins now 3 for 5 from the line. There's only enough time now to redirect the inbound pass to the hoop. No time to catch and shoot, and that'll do it. So Notre Dame came flying out of the gates with a quick 7-0 lead. UConn had a 7-0 run of its own. Eventually opened up a 10-point lead. Notre Dame trims it to 8. Big story in the game, foul trouble. 3 on Hayes for UConn and 2 each on Peters, Mallory, and Brzezinski for Notre Dame. The Irish trying to avenge that 3-point loss to UConn back on January 8th in South Bend. And Notre Dame has lost 10 straight times to UConn and is just 1-9 in its history here at Gamble Pavilion. And Katie Christensen is with Irish coach Muffet McGraw.
Today you did, but you've had some early foul trouble. What adjustments will you make in the second half?
Well, I think that's certainly the key to the game. They were able to keep their best players on the floor, our best players out very quickly. Our post game was really kind of decimated with the fouls. And then when we have an opportunity to get to the foul line, we're not making our shots. I thought we forced things a little bit too much, and defensively, obviously, giving up way too many points.
All right, Coach, thank you for your time. Bob?
All right, thank you very much, Katie. Coming up, the Big East halftime report. We'll take a spin around the Big East. Katie will chat with Gino Auriemma, and we'll have first half highlights. For our Big East Network affiliates, break number 6 is about to come your way. It's a showdown between first place UConn and second place Notre Dame, and the Huskies lead it by 8 at the break. Came back, took a 10-point lead, and leads the Irish by 8 points at halftime. Welcome back to Gamble Pavilion. I'm Bob Picozzi along with former WNBA forward Katie Christensen. You always wanted to coach, right? Well, let's see you coach. How come Notre Dame was so effective in limiting Maya Moore to only 7 points in the first half, and Maya didn't score for the first 14 minutes?
You see right here, she always has a defender stuck to her no matter where she is on the floor. But what that does is that opens things up for other players. You're going to see right here, Bria Hartley gets the ball. Maya's defender is right there. Leaves a wide open penetration to the lane for Bria Hartley. Instead, the outside has to come from Brzezinski right there instead of from the baseline. That's the wrong person to come to help side. Leaves a wide open layup for Bria Hartley.
And Bria Hartley with 12 points in the first half, but the big story for the Irish, really the only reason that they are only down by 8 was Skylar Diggins. She was magnificent in the first 20 minutes.
She's done an excellent job offensively of attacking the Huskies from multiple areas on the floor. She's done it by driving to the basket in transition. She's done it off pull-up jumpers. She's being very smart about what the defense gives her, who's defending her if she has a size advantage. Really an excellent job by the sophomore to just take it right to the Huskies. And then, of course, for the Huskies, Maya Moore, they have not made it easy for her. So it's been a lot of different people, but mainly Brittany Mallory that's had to defend her. But it's opened things up for other players, and they've stepped up, mainly Bria Hartley. Maya's not going to get a lot of open looks today, but right there, Stephanie Dolson, they've taken advantage of her in the first half. She's done it in a number of ways around the basket, nice deep seals, but the greatest thing about it is that Bria Hartley is taking over this game. She's doing it in transition. She's knocked down some shots from long range. She's taken it aggressively to the basket and gone to the free throw line. She's the only player on the Huskies roster to even attempt a free throw in the first half.
Halftime stats are brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. Begin building your foundation for life at northwesternmutual.com. UConn outscoring Notre Dame in the paint by a wide margin, by 14 points. And we can't overstate, Katie, what a factor the absence of Devereaux Peters was in the first half. She picked up 2 early fouls. She only played 4 minutes.
Well, and that's one of the main reasons you have that discrepancy of points in the paint because of her absence.
Diggins tried to force it inside, and the Irish turned the ball over. 9th turnover for Notre Dame. Irish 6th in the country in turnover margin. Hayes playing with 3 personals. Dolson deflected the rebound to Hayes. She got stripped. Hayes picks it up off the floor, and then a reset to Hartley. And Gino Auriemma is calling the play from the sidelines.
He wants them to run their normal motion offense right here. I would try and go inside to whoever Peters is guarding.
Or
you can knock it down from long range, which is another option, of course.
Plan B always works, or sometimes it does. That was Hayes' first three-point attempt of the game. She's only taken 4 shots today. She's made them all. Diggins tries to go with Dolson. And Dolson certainly affected the trajectory of that shot. Hayes quickly to Hartley in the open floor over Mallory. That'll be foul number 3 on Mallory. And 1 on the Irish this half.
Well, exactly what you want to do. Take it right to their best defender and put her in foul trouble.
Hartley leading the way for UConn in the first half with 14. Chance to add to it here. And Diggins had 17 first half points for Notre Dame.
In the one set defensive possession that we've seen for Notre Dame, it looked like they went to a 2-3 zone. They're predominantly a player-to-player defensive team, but with the foul trouble that they have from the first half of the game, you've got Bruszewski with 2, Peters with 2, and you now have Mallory with 3, correct? Or is it Novosel?
Actually, no one. Mallory has 3. You're correct. Mallory's the first
3.
Irish player with 3.
So you're going to probably see some zone defense to make sure that they can protect themselves from foul trouble.
Bruszewski entry pass to Diggins, deflected and stolen by UConn. Hayes to Moore for 3.
And that's what you do against a zone. You see 2 back-to-back three-pointers offensively for the Huskies. If you're going to sit in a zone, you have to make sure you cover the perimeter or else they will punish you.
6-0 UConn run to begin the half. Biggest lead of the afternoon at 14. So Moore with 10 points. Took her a while to get there. Novosel, nice low dump down to Bruszewski for the reverse layup. Hartley. Down low Moore, right to the rim. So just like that, we keep talking about what a bad day she's having. She's got 12 points with 17 minutes left. She's the leading scorer in the country, the leading scorer in Big East history. Novosel for the elbow. Hartley. UConn with a 13-game winning streak. Notre Dame has won 9 in a row.
Notre Dame is in player-to-player, but that's what they've done. They put Peters on Ferris, thinking that they can protect her with that matchup.
Ferris missed the shot. Ferris is now 0 for 5 from the floor today, but she's done an outstanding defensive job on Novosel. Bruszewski with a rare 3. Long rebound to Mallory. Mallory tried to dump it down low to Peters. It's stolen by the Huskies. Moore, the one-handed pass to Hayes, deflected by Mallory. And it'll be UConn ball.
Right here on transition. Nice recognition to see that, but Novosel got there just a fingertip on that ball. You had to thread that perfectly, and it was just a little off.
Hayes outlet to Moore. Moore almost certainly will become UConn's first 4-time first-team All-American. Moore guarded by Novosel. Left for Hartley for 3. Weak side rebound to Farrell. Hayes. 2-3 Irish zone. Farris to Moore. And there's foul number 4 on Mallory. And 2 on the Irish this half.
Maya got lucky in that situation. She didn't realize that Mallory was coming around from the weak side elbow to defend that, but not a smart defensive play by Mallory. When you have 3 fouls the start of the second half, you have to be extremely careful. And that was just a silly foul.
Wow, that wasn't an active shooting foul, huh? What was she doing? So instead it's side out. Mallory, of course, sits down with the 4th foul, and she may be sitting for quite a while. Farris to Hartley. Farris to Moore. Hartley, pass into the post to Dolson.
Read that zone perfectly, got it inside. That's the hardest thing to do, is defend your center on the low block when the zone has to shift.
And that side-by-side ball movement by UConn set it up.
Exactly, they shifted the zone perfectly and took advantage.
This equals the biggest lead of the day, 14. Bruszewski Puts it on the floor. And the rebound pulled down by Peters, and a foul will be called on the Huskies. First foul of the second half on UConn, and it will be called on Maya Moore, who has come alive offensively this half. 14-point UConn lead equals the biggest lead of the afternoon. The Big East Conference maintains a comprehensive site on the World Wide Web at www.bigeast.org. Log on for all the latest information on all Big East sports, including women's basketball scores, highlights, news, stats, and polls. And today's game is just a preview of the high-level basketball that will be on display March 4th through the 8th at the Big East Women's Championship at the XL Center in Hartford. The Big East Championship will start on a Friday, will end on a Tuesday. For tickets, go to www.ticketmaster.com or www.bigeast.org/WBB. Well, Katie, Maya Moore did not score a point for the first 14 and a half minutes of the game. She's made up for it since.
Well, and all it takes is a couple mistakes by Notre Dame defensively for her to step back and take advantage of it. That is what they did so well in the first half. They didn't give her any open looks, but they've had to in the second. They had to go to a zone because they are in foul trouble, and then they couldn't be as aggressive defending her on the low post. Mallory now has severe foul trouble, and we won't see her for a while.
Mallory left with her fourth foul with 16 minutes and 16 seconds left. And with the points today, Moore has moved up to number 14 on the NCAA career scoring list. Also, with her double-figure effort today, it is the 139th time she has scored in double figures in her career. That, too, is an NCAA record.
What is it, just 4 games in her whole career she hasn't been in double figures?
That's it. Ball knocked out of bounds, a do-over. People who pay close attention to UConn know they are not a one-person team, and today is perfect evidence. The two freshmen, Dolson and Hartley, have really carried the day until Moore got hot.
Well, and that's exactly what they needed. They needed to take advantage of the inside in the paint. They've had the advantage in the paint here so far today, a 28-12 advantage at the last time out, and then Hartley has done it from all over the floor.
Hayes on the right. Moore, ball fake, gives to Farris for the 3. Rebound Peters of Notre Dame. Peters, because of foul trouble, hasn't spent much time on the floor. And she, unlike the first game, she's been a complete non-factor so far.
Well, you're seeing a much different player because of foul trouble. She hasn't been able to be as aggressive, and she really was the spark that ignited her team in January at home against UConn. She blocked shots, she got rebounds. She's been a non-factor today.
Novosel with the miss. Rebound baseline Farris. Hayes will walk it up the floor. UConn has won 62 consecutive games against Big East opponents. Moore with the miss. Brzezinski rebound, and Dolson took it right out of her hands. Then Brzezinski reached in to create the held ball. It'll stay at this end of the floor.
The shot goes up, and you want your center to always be near the basket. Try and fight for that rebound, but you never expect her to battle and take it out of someone's arms, earn them an extra possession.
So a fresh 30 on the shot clock on the possession arrow. Inbound pass deflected by Miller, but then Hartley deflected it right back to Farris. 2-3 Irish zone off the UConn inbound beneath its own hoop.
Well, they need to be careful because from long range they've struggled covering it.
And Hartley takes it right to the rim. She's got 16 points. Notre Dame, the second leading field goal shooting team in the country, and today really having a rough time getting anything to fall against this UConn defense. Novosel and Moore look like they bumped knee to knee. Moore comes away wincing and with her third foul. Number 2 on UConn this half.
They're getting her right here for the body, sliding it. You see how they have a knee-on-knee connection right there. If Maya could have just slid one step, could have avoided that foul.
Farris takes it away. And we'll get go right back to Notre Dame baseline. Fortunately for Moore, she wears those big, bulky pads on the knees. But even you could see the look on her face. It hurt, nevertheless. UConn might be the best team in the country. They are most definitely not the deepest team in the country. In a close game, Gino Auriemma will play only 6. That's what he's done today. Huskies number 2 in the national rankings behind Baylor, but each week they pick up a couple of more first place votes than the week before. Moore to Hartley. And Hartley fouled in the act of shooting.
When you talk about the first place votes, it's the irony of the situation being that they've beat Baylor, who is #1 and has been #1 ahead of them now for 8 weeks in the polls. It's just, how does that come about? And that game against Stanford, their only loss of the season, without a doubt, those are the 3 top teams in the country right now. Who's going to be that 4th person, that 4th team that slides in there?
Too bad UConn and Baylor haven't played each other, huh?
Right.
Oh, that's right, they did.
The very beginning of the season. I
won
think it
that
was a win.
Well, no wonder Baylor's #1. That makes sense. I think that 4th #1 seed is going to be Tennessee. Farris with the steal. And the foul will be called on number 12, Frederica Miller. That's her first.
Well, and defensively, they have to rely on it to create some good, easy offense for them in transition. And Farris here knows that the hit's coming, goes up with both hands, goes to the free throw line, where she was 10 of 10 in January when they played at Notre Dame.
Farris from Plainfield, Indiana. That game at Notre Dame, January, the first time she's played a game in her native state as a collegiate player. You know she would like to play her 2nd game there the first weekend in April in the Final Four in Indianapolis. Plainfield, Indiana, just 15 minutes from the site of Conseco Fieldhouse in the Final Four. This is an 8-0 UConn run to open up a 20-point lead. Held ball, possession arrow will give it back to UConn with 12.5 minutes remaining. You wonder how long Muffet McGraw will leave Mallory on the bench. Down by 20. You got to figure the Irish's chances of pulling off a miracle comeback are much greater with Mallory on the floor. Hartley had it taken away by Miller. One-on-one, Miller, Hartley at the other end. And Moore with the rebound for the Huskies.
Great job by Hartley right there to contest the shot but not foul and put her on the free throw line. Played it well, ended up coming up with a defensive rebound, but then another steal.
Miller with her 2nd straight steal, and Moore goes head first into our cameraman. Well, our cameraman Dwayne took the charge there, didn't get the call. He just had the 2-time National Player of the Year run him over. Our guys are tough, though. We give them tetanus shots before every game. They show up. They'll play all 36 holes. No quitting Dwayne. We get a timeout. UConn leading Notre Dame by 18 points. The Huskies trying to maintain sole possession of first place in the Big East. UConn shooting 52% and leading Notre Dame by 18. The Big East Women's Basketball Championship, presented by American Eagle Outfitters, returns to Hartford, Connecticut. Join us Friday, March 4th through Tuesday the 8th at the XL Center. And for tickets, log on to Ticketmaster.com or visit the XL Center box office. Katie, Maya Moore has learned an awful lot about the game of basketball in her 4 years at UConn. One thing she hasn't learned yet is how to give up on a play.
Exactly, and she's going to go right into our cameraman right here. She hustles back defensively.
Look out,
goes
Dwayne.
Straight into Dwayne, the cameraman. And I was talking to Doug Bruno on Thursday, and he said Maya is the most skilled player that he's ever come across that plays like she has no skill whatsoever. You usually don't see your top those type of things, sacrifice their bodies, do the intangible things because they rely on their skill so much, but I don't think that Maya knows how to turn it off.
And that translates into winning. And winning is something that Maya Moore has done very well. She won a gold medal while coached by Doug Bruno on the USA basketball under-18 national team in the summer of 2006. That's the summer before she entered UConn. There is no bigger Maya Moore fan in the world than Doug Bruno. Bria Hartley hits the shot. In fact, he actually equates her. He said she has Bill Russell-like instincts. And I can tell you from knowing Doug for years, he thinks Bill Russell's the greatest basketball player of all time. So for him to mention Maya Moore in the same breath as Bill Russell is the highest possible praise from that man. Diggins knocks down the three.
Well, it must be tough when you have to coach against her and play against her in the Big East. He's such a fan.
And UConn beat a very good DePaul team by 20 points earlier this season. The foul will be on Frederica Miller. That's her second. And for Notre Dame in the second half, team foul number 5. It's now a 17-point Huskies lead. UConn leads Notre Dame by 17 with 10:58 remaining. Join our crew next Saturday for the Big East Conference game of the week. It will be the USF Bulls visiting the Villanova Wildcats. Tip-off set for 12 Eastern time. So be sure to check your local regional sports network or local listings. And Katie, we mentioned that Baylor has been number 1 in the rankings, UConn number 2 since the Huskies lost to Stanford on December 30th. Unless Baylor can come back from a second half deficit today, that could flip-flop when the rankings come out on Monday. 2:23 left in Lubbock, and Texas Tech is leading the number 1 team in the country by 9.
Well, exactly. They've already got the one loss this year to UConn. So without things changing here, UConn comes out with a win. They'll have just one loss on the season. You have to expect that would flip-flop 1-2.
And of course, the rankings cannot be confused with seedings. There you see this week Baylor 18 first place votes, UConn 13. And in the last 4 weeks, you've seen the first place vote total for UConn climb from 9 to 12, went down to 11, and went back up to 13. But you touched on it at halftime with Gino Auriemma, although he kind of poo-pooed it. Mm-hmm. There would seem to be an advantage if you're the number 1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament, because if UConn and Baylor and Stanford all get to the Final Four, the number 1 seed presumably would only have to play one of those 2 teams that weekend in Indianapolis, whereas the other 2 would have to go through both the other 2.
Exactly. It does make a difference if you want to break it down like that. But I think right now for Gino, he's trying not to let his team think about it. They need to think about what they're doing on the floor, game in and game out, and do it like they've always done. Go out and defend, score. That's all that they can do, is worry about what they can control on the floor.
Shot clock at 5. Farish for 3. Rebound, Hayes deflected to Dolson, but then Miller comes away with it, and Dolson picked her pocket. Dolson has been absolutely terrific today.
And so is Bria Hartley. Both of the freshmen playing so well here today. Muffet McGraw has seen enough. She needs a timeout.
Well, Maya Moore is the best, maybe the best player in the country, but the 2 freshmen, Hartley and Dolson, have been fantastic today.
Bria Hartley knocking down another 3-point bucket, but Dolson doesn't come up with the rebound, but she does come up with the steal. She's patient, comes back, earns her team another possession, and then, of course, her freshman teammate, Bria Hartley, knocking down a wide-open 3. UConn has really done a great job of executing offensively here today and not forcing it into Maya Moore's hands. And I think that they don't get enough credit for the offensive weapons that they have on the floor. Everyone wants to think about Maya Moore, but the great thing is about it, defensively, when they take Maya out of the game, other people can step up, and you're seeing it here today.
We are at Gamble Pavilion in Storrs, Connecticut. It's the Big East Women's Basketball Game of the Week. I'm Bob Picozzi, along with Katie Christensen, who was a 2-time first-team All-Big West performer at UC Santa Barbara. UConn fell behind 7-0 early, but it's been all Huskies here in the second half. Peters knocks it off Hayes and out of bounds. Muffet McGraw's Irish will inbound baseline. 11 seconds left in the shot clock, and Mallory back in the game for Notre Dame. She left with 16 minutes left with her 4th foul.
Well, and at this point in the game, as Novosel draws a foul. At this point in the game, when you're down 20 points, under 10 minutes to go, it doesn't matter if she has 4 fouls. You have to put her back on the floor. You have to trust that she's going to be smart, but you need her aggression defensively, and maybe it'll be infectious for her teammates.
3rd foul on Dolson and 3 on UConn this half. Novosel knocks down the first one. This Notre Dame team figures to be a real factor. That's an understatement, the Big East next year. Mallory's a senior and Peters is a senior, but both of them had a redshirt year because of torn ACLs. Both can come back next year for a 5th year. Peters has already said she intends to do that. The thinking is Mallory will do the same. And that means the only player that Notre Dame will lose will be Bruszewski. So this Irish team will be loaded next year.
Exactly, and the year of sitting out, even though you're not playing, it's invaluable because you learn so much by watching the game on the sidelines. It really ups your knowledge in basketball IQ.
Moore with a bullet pass to Dolson, who seems so comfortable with that left hand.
Well, and you know, what I like so much, and you can see the difference from the start of the season to now, is she's just more comfortable in this offensive set that they run. It's all about reads and reading each other and the defense, and you can see she's got a hand on it and knows what to do.
Diggins with the air ball, and the rebound is pulled down by Moore, her 5th of the game. Dixon, and as Farris tried to cut, she was mugged. And this will be Peters' 3rd foul. And that's 6 on the Irish this half. Lachanwa back in replacing Bruszewski for Notre Dame. Now, UConn will lose 2 players to graduation, Dixon and Moore. Of course, you can't overstate how much it's going to cost them to lose Moore. Her entry pass deflected out of bounds. But the Huskies will have everyone else back, and they will also welcome in the recruiting class, which is ranked 2nd in the country by ESPN Hoop Girls magazine, including the #1 recruit, according to Hoop Girls, and that would be Kalena Mosquito Lewis, a 6-foot sort of a swingman forward guard for Mater Dei High School, lives in Anaheim, California. So you don't need to throw any pity parties for Gino Auriemma's club next year either. And Hartley has just established a new career high with 26 points.
Well, if any of those freshmen can come in and play next season like Bria Hartley has been able to play this season, they'll be in good shape. But I asked Gino the other day, have you even thought about what life after Maya is going to be like? He said probably very similar to what it felt like after losing Dee. He said you would have thought basketball died here for a couple years, but they're going to be in good shape.
Novosel knocks down the jumper. UConn has signed 3 players for next year. They all were named last week to the McDonald's All-America team. Dolson with the shot, no good. Rebound batted out, comes to Diggins, has Mallory to the right. And Diggins, nice job faking the pass and getting a layup. Farris had it knocked away from behind by Diggins, and it will be UConn ball when we come back. Bria Hartley has been named the Big East Freshman of the Week 5 times this year. In the biggest game of the year in the Big East, she scored a career-high 26 points. UConn well on its way to a 13-0 start in the Big East. The Huskies lead Notre Dame by 19. Big East fans, be sure to check out Geico presents Inside the Big East. This weekly 30-minute program brings you in-depth reports and features on all 16 Big East schools through the men's and women's basketball season. Join host John Heffernan on Geico Inside the Big East. Log on to bigeast.org for more details or check your local listings. And when the ESPN USA Today rankings come out on Tuesday, there will be a new #1 team in the country because top-ranked Baylor has lost today at Texas Tech. That will be the 2nd loss for the Lady Bears. The first one was to UConn early in the season. So with UConn well on its way toward a win today and a 26-1 record, look for the Huskies to jump up to #1 in the rankings when the new rankings come out on Tuesday.
Well, and with just a few games remaining in the regular season, a strong show in the Big East tournament, which is what you expect from Connecticut. We were talking earlier about the overall #1 seed in the NCAA tournament. Looks a little bit more relevant in this situation.
Also in the collegerpi.com, Duke had been in that #1 spot until the Blue Devils were trounced the other night on the road by Maryland, and so UConn just moved ahead of Duke in the collegerpi.com rankings. Also at stake today, UConn's NCAA record 75-game home court winning streak. Last loss to Rutgers, March 6, 2007, and a traveling violation on the Huskies. Gino Auriemma was telling me at the shoot-around today, he said, I really didn't think we'd be as good defensively this year as we have been in the past. We lost the great shot blocker in Tina Charles. We lost the great man-to-man defender in Kalena Green. And through the torn ACL injury, we lost a very smart and experienced player in Caroline Doty. But he's been very pleased, Katie, at how well this team, which relies so heavily on 2 freshmen, has played defensively.
Well, I think it all starts with Maya Moore. I mean, to see your star player that plays so hard at both ends of the floor, it's contagious. And it's a luxury as a head coach to have that in your best player, the one to be the hardest working one on the floor, to demand the most out of her teammates on both ends. Defensively, I think people forget about how good they are this year.
Novosel with the layup for the Irish. Shot clock at 10. Give and go. Dolson to Hartley. Hartley with the jumper from the side. Rebound Brzezinski for the Irish with 6.5 minutes remaining. Diggins drives, and a charge will be called on the sophomore from South Bend, her third and #7 on Notre Dame.
Well, and one of the things that makes UConn so good defensively is the fact that they get to the positions they're supposed to be in time. Right here, she does a great job of stepping up and taking the charge. But even in the half-court set, they rotate so well, and it's not always about the first line of defense. That's usually the easiest one to get. But if you can consistently get the second line of defense to be there, you're in great shape, and they do it on a consistent basis.
Look at that shooting for Notre Dame, 17 for 44, and the Irish, the second best field goal shooting percentage team in the country, second only to UConn entering the day. Down low, Moore right at Brzezinski. Rebound off Brzezinski's knee, but Diggins saved it. Novosel on the open floor. Lays it up and in. The Irish still have much to play for after today. They'll visit West Virginia on Tuesday night. We'll host Cincinnati next Saturday. And then a week from Monday, we'll visit DePaul. And unless Notre Dame can stage a miraculous rally here as Hayes gets the basket for UConn, the Irish will slip into 3rd place in the Big East. Half game behind DePaul, who plays tomorrow at home against Georgetown. It's Mallory hits the 3 from the left. And DePaul is very difficult to beat at home.
They are, and they're a very well-rounded team. They've got 5 seniors that they return this year.
Very tall, deep team.
Gino was actually talking yesterday about who would he vote for Coach of the Year. You have to think about Doug Bruno, but you have to mention Muffet in that. And he goes, you know what? He's got all seniors. I'm voting for Muffet.
Hartley knocks down another 3. She has scored 29 points. Hartley, as a high school senior last year coming out of North Babylon, Long Island, considered the 14th best recruit in the country by ESPN Hoop Girls. Diggins with the miss. Rebound Achanwa. She went up, got stripped. Weak side rebound Novosel. She goes up and will draw the foul on Dixon. Number 3 on Dixon. And that's 4 on UConn this half. Muffet McGraw, no matter how this season ends for the Irish, is facing a significant event in the offseason. She'll be making a trip to Knoxville, Tennessee, not to play the Lady Vols, but to be inducted into the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame. And by the way, congratulations to Stanford coach Tara Vanderveer, who was named yesterday one of the 12 finalists for election to the consideration for election to the Naismith Memorial Hall of Fame. The inductees, the class of 2011, will be announced on the afternoon of the men's national championship game in April in Houston.
it's amazing that it's taken this long for Tara to even be nominated for that. I mean, she's a historic coach, and what she's done at Stanford is nothing short of amazing.
Yep. Tara already in the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame. Ball goes off Moore's hands and out of bounds. Both of today's head coaches are in the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame. And both of them have won national championships. That man there has won 7 of them, including the last 2. And now as we look ahead, Maya Moore and UConn and Notre Dame and the next level impact. The Huskies have already sent 21 players to the WNBA. The Irish have sent 8, and of course UConn is going to send a 22nd one. Any doubt in your mind that Maya Moore will be the #1 pick in the draft?
Oh, not a doubt at all. And I think the interesting thing that everyone knows she's going to go #1, but I think there's the question of what exactly will her impact be right away. She's going to a team that has Simone Augustus, Lindsay Whalen, Rebecca Brunson, a lot of scoring on that team already. How is Maya going to make the transition? She's such an unconventional player in that she doesn't fit into any one position necessarily. She's undersized to be a post in the WNBA. She's got good size to be a wing, but does she have the ball handling skills? It'll be interesting to watch her transition into the professional ranks.
The ovation you heard in the background, the public address announcer John Tuitt just announced the final score, Baylor losing to Texas Tech. The fans here at Gamble Pavilion know what that means. That means that come Tuesday, when the new poll comes out, UConn will return to #1. A push will be called on Hartley. Her second, and the 15th foul on UConn. The Huskies on their way to a 26-1 start and a return to #1 in the national rankings. UConn has out-rebounded Notre Dame 34-30 and has outscored the Irish 68-52. Join our crew next Saturday for the Big East game of the week. It will be USF at Villanova. Tip-off set for 12 Eastern time. So be sure to check your local regional sports network or local listings. Then 2 weeks from today, it will be the second round of the Big East Women's Championship at the XL Center in Hartford, and we will have all 4 games on that second day of the tournament. The #5 seed, who will get an opening round bye, will kick things off at noon Eastern time that day, playing the winner of the previous day's 12 versus 13 seed game. And then at 2 o'clock Eastern, the 8th seed will make its first appearance. And then another doubleheader at 6 o'clock Eastern time. All 4 games on the Big East Network. The active winning streaks for UConn. Let's start with the one at the top. The 75-game home winning streak. That's the longest in NCAA history. 62 straight against Big East opponents. 51 in the regular season. An overall winning streak of 13 this year since that loss to Stanford. And when UConn scores 80 points, forget about it. They win. They've won the last 106 times. They've scored 80 points. And also 47 in a row at Gamble Pavilion. They're running out of space here in the rafters, Katie.
We'll just have to add some more.
I was looking at that wall behind us. That's the championship/Hall of Fame wall. There's room for maybe 2 more national championship banners. Then we're just going to have to, you know the line from Jaws, we're going to need a bigger boat. We're going to need a bigger wall. Farris to Hayes with 3.5 remaining. UConn will be trying to do something this season, which they've done once previously, and that is win 3 straight national championships.
And it is not going to be an easy road there, as you see Stephanie Golson taking it strong to the basket. It's nice to see the freshman get a little excited.
Foul on Brzezinski. Golson has been so effective, Katie, at setting that high screen and then rolling to the hoop.
Well, she does a good job of slipping, and they run through their offensive sets every day in practice for so long, and he doesn't call plays. He wants something different every time. You have to read the defense differently. You have to read each other, and you can see how she's made the progress this season of just really understanding the offensive sets and flourishing in them.
Dolson with 15 points today, so the 2 freshman starters, Hartley and Dolson, have combined for 44 points. Rebound Maya Moore. It isn't very often that Moore is only your team's 3rd leading scorer in a game. But so far, Maya with 12 is only UConn's third leading scorer today.
But to see your freshman playing this well at this point in the season is a really good sign for Gino Auriemma. You have to know that with the Big East tournament coming up and the NCAA tournament, you're going to need every weapon on the floor to be able to score.
Reach-in foul on Novosel. It's the 10th time this year UConn has had 4 players in double figures. The 4th one today being Hayes with 11 points. Hayes has only taken 6 shots today. So Moore will sit down and she'll get a standing ovation. This is her second to last regular season game in this building.
Can you imagine what senior night is going to be like?
Well, one of the things they're going to do that night is they're going to induct her into the Huskies of Honor. They don't retire uniform numbers here. Mallory hits the 3. Moore will become only the 3rd active player inducted into the Huskies of Honor. Renee Montgomery and Tina Charles were the 2 others. But yeah, that figures to be a rather emotional night. Gino Auriemma will call one of these rolling timeouts for the purpose of making a substitution. And the ovation now for Dolson. 15 points, 5 rebounds, 7 for 11 from the floor.
She played so well on the defensive end of the floor today. She only had the 5 boards, but she contested a lot of shots, changed a lot of shots.
Dixon, so Laura Anglin, number 12, and Michaela Johnson, number 25. A couple of freshmen for the Huskies have checked in. Hayes drives, and Brzezinski, I guess they said it was a block shot, not a foul, huh? Mallory with the miss. Heather Buck knocked it over the end line. Redshirt sophomore from Stonington, Connecticut. 1:46 remaining. Notre Dame averages 81 points a game, and they've been held to 55.
Just going back to what we were talking about earlier about how UConn has been able to rely on their defense, and you don't hear much about their defense. It's always about their scoring capabilities, but they can defend teams, as you've seen today.
Wonder if someone has an early flight to catch. Not too many fouls called here in the last couple of minutes. Brzezinski with the miss. Peters put back number 1, no good. Rebound Buck. And Brzezinski will be called for the reaching foul.
It's been a physical game all day long.
So Buck will go down the other end of the floor. So Notre Dame has to regroup. If you can't finish first, and first of all, they still could finish first, but let's face it, they're going to be 2 games behind UConn with 3 to go, plus they would lose the tiebreaker should they wind up tied with UConn. And UConn with home games left against Seton Hall and Syracuse, an away game at Georgetown. For all intents and purposes, the Irish's chance of getting that number 1 seed are pretty much going to end.
Well, and with Notre Dame closing out the regular season against DePaul, that's a really tough matchup.
DePaul will play tomorrow at home against Georgetown. Game which you'll be able to see on ESPNU. Katie will be rushing to Bradley Airport to catch a flight to O'Hare to do that game tomorrow.
I have a quick flight too, but I'm not calling the fouls out there, so it's not my fault.
Foul on Laura Anglin. This is what lies ahead for both teams. Notre Dame will visit Morgantown on Tuesday, and UConn will host Seton Hall in Hartford. Notre Dame will host Cincinnati next Saturday. UConn visits Georgetown. And then everybody in the Big East will play on Monday night, February 28th, as Buck fouls Novosel.
Well, and notably for Notre Dame, matching up at West Virginia, they have a great defensive unit. They really struggle putting points on the board. So to go up against Notre Dame's defense, offensively, we'll see what Liz Rapella can come up with. But playing DePaul at home, that's a tough draw to close out your regular season.
West Virginia gave UConn all it could handle when the Huskies visited there on February 8th. West Virginia lost by only 6 points. Final minute of the game. Buck is fouled by Natalie Ochanwa, who played for the Canadian national team at the World Championships this fall. World Championships which were won by the United States. The head coach was Gino Auriemma. His assistant was DePaul coach Doug Bruno. One of the players on the team, UConn's Maya Moore. Several former UConn players on that team. Diana Taurasi, Tina Charles, Swin Cash. There's Gino's assistant, Shay Ralph, who was a most outstanding player in the Final Four in 2000 when UConn won its second national championship. Next to her was Marissa Mosley, who's an outstanding player in the America East at Boston University. Of course, on Gino's other side has been his trusted lieutenant for all 26 years here at Storrs, the associate head coach Chris Daly, who was an outstanding player at Rutgers, and she's the one who works with the big players. And Gino's the first to admit that much of the success and improvement that Stephanie Dolson has demonstrated throughout this season, her freshman year, should be attributed to the coaching of Chris Daly, who works every day so hard with the post players. So Hayes will go to the free throw line. Hayes is on the midseason watch list for the Naismith National Player of the Year award. Substitution for the Irish, Frederica Miller returns, and Novosel will leave. So Hayes knocks it down. So Kate, I don't know if you're a future UConn opponent. I don't know what your take on this game might be. You might come away saying, oh my goodness, it was, put in quotes, a relatively, comparatively off day for Maya Moore. And they beat the number 8 team in the country. Right now they're winning by 19 points. My goodness, they're pretty good. They're much deeper than a one-person team.
I think you're always talking about with UConn the fact that they have a short bench. But the great thing about it is you're seeing here today the progress that the freshman class has made and what a contribution they're going to do to be able to provide in the tournament and then later in the NCAA tournament.
So the shot clock is off. Actually, it's not a half-second difference. And Michaela Johnson banks it in. So there's the exclamation point. So UConn extends the longest home court winning streak in women's basketball history to 76 games. The final, UConn beats Notre Dame 78-57. The Huskies are now 13-0 in the Big East.